the Iowa legislature unless you shut the door, triple lock it, and absolutely eliminate discussions of recreational use, legalization for recreational use. That's the only way this is going to go through in my assessment.
I understand what you're saying, but if you do that, aren't you saying to everybody that it's not a safe medicine? It's this. Isn't it contradicting?
I don't think,
saying the safeness of the plan.
My gut reaction to that is that it's no different than the use of some other drugs that are absolute. I mean, we don't. You can use certain forms of like Procaine, Novocaine. Even in some dental offices, cocaine is used if you're allergic to others. We absolutely have locked the door on recreational use of cocaine, but yet in certain situations, medical professionals can use cocaine. That's what I'm asking for, because I could not look myself in the mirror if I opened a door that would later on lead to me teaming up with the ACLU, an organization I do not have a lot of respect for, and in trying to help legitimate folks like you turn around and help them to swing the door open on recreational use of drugs and compound the issues that we already have with alcohol. That's just where my position is, and I'm asking what guarantees can you give, because you think that my questions are tough. You go in front of the legislative committee with the cameras on, and then everybody's trying to. There'd be several people in the room could care less about the issue. They'd just be looking at what spears they could throw at you politically.
Can I just make sure I heard you right, that you wanted to raise penalties on the recreational users? So
I'm just thinking out loud. I want an absolute rock solid guarantee that by legalizing this for medical use for what seems to me to be
bipolar.
I don't know enough about the science to be real honest with you. I know about fibromyalgia, I know about MS, and I know about the nausea associated with cancer patients. I know that. I'm not a scientist, so I don't feel comfortable saying this disease is legitimate, this one isn't.
So someone with glaucoma who could get caught in the gray area might get increased penalties. I'm just asking.
You know,
what you're saying.
I understand that, but I personally, I'm just talking for me now. Personally, I absolutely have to have a guarantee for consideration of this, that recreational use, we're not taking a step forward in legalizing. This society has legalized alcohol that's tied up into domestic abuse, violent charges, crimes, etc. I am not going to pile on with yet another recreational use of a drug, even though it is less addictive, because I know that marijuana. I know it's less addictive, and I know the problems are less harmful than alcohol. But I'll guarantee you, I don't want to cross paths on a busy highway going 70 miles an hour with somebody that's stoned.
Well,
and I've got to guard against that.
Isn't that the issue, though? My father's a criminal defense attorney, and he specializes in DUIs. And I'm not that close with him anymore. And it's not because he's a bad person, but we are encouraging this addicted society based on our punitive laws. And the more you punish, I think the more you perpetrate what's going on. So the last thing I want to do is represent poorly the medical society here. But I think if you're going to make medical marijuana or marijuana illegal, then you should make alcohol illegal.
See, I understand that logic. I understand the logic that marijuana is less. Two wrongs don't make a right. And I just don't believe that the logic that marijuana is more addictive, alcohol is more addictive, so therefore, go ahead and see, this conversation makes me nervous. Because what I'm hearing here is opening that door for recreational use. And I cannot go there. My constituents don't want to go there. And I'll guarantee you Iowans don't want to go there.
I'm a bad representative for everyone here. That's not what I want to be.
I respect your opinion.
There are issues out there, aren't there?
I respect your opinion, but I'm just telling you folks that, after being in the legislature, and you have a hard time even getting legislators to show up at events like this, folks. I'm not asking you to say, gee, thank you, Jeff Kaufman, but by showing up here, I open myself up for somebody to say, Kaufman's doing this and that. I'm here because I had a mom that suffered from fibromyalgia. I'm here because I've had a lot of folks just like you and just like you that have gotten my attention, and that I believe and that I have empathy for. And I need, in order to continue to have this discussion and to help you, we cannot open that door up. Or politically, it's not going to work. And then just from my perspective, purely, there is no way that I can open up that door. And I'll restate it again. I get very nervous. Anytime I got to check my own conscience anytime I'm on the same side of as the ACLU in something, and this makes me very, very nervous. Where we're heading with this discussion makes me very, very nervous.
I'll stop.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
concerned
I'm
about the people in the gray area when you're talking about increasing penalties.
Well, like you said, Jeff, you're not
your reaction.
Yeah, you're not a scientist, and I think that's where the Board of Pharmacy does play a very important role. They did all this review. They know more about it than a lot of people, and it's their responsibility each year to review the rescheduling of drugs. And so I think they should play an important role in determining which diseases and which disorders are included and which aren't. The bill we had the last couple of years is very careful about what you're saying is people can't drive, people can't smoke out in public. This isn't something where we want to be like California. California was the first state to do it. They didn't know what they were doing. The states since have been really careful. They're a lot more restrictive. California didn't regulate dispensaries at all, whereas pretty much every other state has state-regulated dispensaries that keeps them away from schools. Communities can keep them out of certain areas, like they have zoning laws and everything. So yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and honestly, if that's what it takes to get the bill passed, then I support it. I think we need to keep legalization a separate issue. I think these are two separate issues. But like you said, Iowans do not support legalization. The 64% poll also said that 20% of Iowans support legalization. So that's not where we are in Iowa. But 64% do support medical use. And so I think the key is to get this committee to happen with the Board of Pharmacy, the Board of Nursing, somebody from a substance abuse treatment facility like they talked about, and figure out how do we implement a program safely. Diversion is a huge issue in medicine. The Iowa governor's office said that diversion of prescription painkillers is the #1 drug issue facing our society. So personally, I think since marijuana is safer than prescription painkillers, we could greatly cut down on the diversion by reducing the amount of prescription painkillers we're prescribing, but at the same time, we need to make sure it's not being diverted.
Jimmy, where did you get that? I was interested in that list of task force members. Where did that come from?
The Iowa Board of Pharmacy had that in their press release. And they said not limited to those. They said these are just off the top of their head, people who they think would be good.
I'd like to see the highway patrol on there as well.
Yeah.
I was at Clarence. Another reason I'm here today is because I was up at a little listing post in Clarence, Iowa. You don't get much more conservative than Clarence, Iowa. They're overwhelmingly Republican and conservative there. And I asked, and the crowd was older. An older group, and that's how I handle my listing post. There's no sacred cows in my conversations, and I just threw out there to them, what do you think about medical marijuana? And I was actually taken back by what I heard, because it was at least, I don't have the exact numbers, but at least 90% of them in this very conservative, very senior crowd said that they believed that we should continue to have the discussion. So when I hear your heartfelt comments and your heartfelt comments, I have no doubt my constituents are telling me to continue to have this discussion, to listen to you and listen up. So I want to make sure you understand where my comments are coming from, is trying to take what an idea that you've convinced me should be discussed and make it politically viable in Iowa. That's where I'm coming from with all of this. And I hope my presence here today makes that point loud and clear to you, that at least I'm willing to have that discussion. I just want to make sure I'm clear on that, because I certainly am not without empathy, but I also have to have on my political game face to do things.
And it doesn't mean a lot to us that you're here today.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions about the bill or